everyone, welcome to another round of book talk. Today our book talk is with Vidhie Mukherjea about her prank memoir Devil's Daughter. Have you read it? If not, then what are you waiting for? After our book talk, go ahead and buy the copy on Amazon and read it. Trust me, you are going to go through a varied emotions while you're reading it. It literally feels it's her diary which you've laid your hands on. It's literally the prank memoir that she's spoken about. And I am all excited to chat with Vidhie about her memoir, about her journey, and a lot more about her debut book. So let's see if Vidhie's here and send her a request. So guys, what are you all reading right now and what are your two reads? Come on, DM me, and if you have any request, any questions, you can always send in and we shall try and ask her. I'll send her a request and she's going to be here super soon. Hey Muskan, hey Sacharita, hello Moonlight, hello Muskan, Sharif, Amu Singha, and everyone here, thank you for joining Book Talk and being all excited. And Vidhie is here. I have sent her a request and we shall get started super soon. And let's just wait for her to come live. I'm all excited to have this book talk with her about Devil's Daughter. When I started reading this book, I started with a cup of coffee and ended with a lot more caffeine because I just couldn't keep this book down. And that's the same thing that's going to happen with you. So when you grab your copies, do tag us on the reviews and tell us how you liked it. And Vidhie, I know you're here. I've sent you a request. Are you able to join in? What's happening? Amu Singha 7 is reading Orwell book, and for some reason our Instas today acting really funny. Hey Instagram, can you let us chat? We are super excited for this book talk. So please accept our request and get this chat started. Hey Vidhie, hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All good, all good.
So before I get started with the book talk, I have to tell you, and I'm sure you've heard it a lot, that your prank memoir was something that I just couldn't keep down. And though it's been a couple of days, I'm still literally rereading the pages in my mind. I was so glued to it.
Thank you so much.
So do you have your copy around? Before we get started, would like to take a selfie and the book? Okay, so let's have a selfie moment. Okay, great. Thanks for the selfie moment, Vidhie. So I'm sure you've heard a lot of these questions, but we will ask the same cliches because we need to know again, and our audience here needs to know again.
Sure.
What triggered you to write your memoir? I'm sure you wanted to write it, but what was at one point where you decided, okay, let me start putting it down on the paper?
So this was in the pandemic, and I just kind of graduated from Barcelona, right? And I graduated in international business, and I actually had no idea what I was gonna do after because I wasn't even really interested in business. So I just kind of did that degree to kind of complete something. So when I was right in the midst of the pandemic, I had no idea what I was doing. I was not really in the best place mentally either. So I just, and for years people kept telling me I have to write, I have to write, I have to write. So I just decided, okay, I'm gonna open my laptop and just see where this takes me. And I think I was in a 2-month trance or something whilst I was writing it, and whilst in the midst of writing it, I was quite obviously, because I was just reliving so many things day by day, it messed with me, it messed with me, but also it gave me that kind of strength that I needed to overcome it, face it, and understand and just process all of it. And I think what made me realize that this is something that I need to kind of get out there in the world, because when I was writing it, I knew that I didn't know whether I was gonna let it for the world to see or just for my eyes. And I knew because I was just going through these moments of lows and highs, and I just thought how many other people are kind of going through these moments, and realized that I kind of have to get it out there and just go all the way out.
So there was a phase where you wanted to be hidden because everyone was writing something that was not true, and now you knew your story out there, and there will again be this entire lot of people out there to again speak about a lot of things that have gone down, So there was a lot of courage that obviously you needed when it had to be published, like till the writing. What was the trauma, the courage, the strength, and everything that went through when you took the decision that, okay, I want to go ahead and publish it?
So in fact, I was getting stronger and I felt more empowered just through my story whilst I was writing it, because even I didn't figure out a lot of stuff as I was going through. There were some moments that I kind of shut off for 5 years, there were some things, some memories that I literally forgot I even had. So when those were coming out and just, I kind of started feeling more confident in myself. That's when I decided, against all odds, I'm gonna put this out there. I had a couple of people read it. I didn't really actually want anyone to read it, but I was so kind of, I was doubting myself throughout. So when people read it and they were like, okay, this is amazing, I was still doubting myself. I was just like, okay, now there's no turning back. I'm just gonna do it. But I think it's the best decision I ever made.
I it on totally. Like, this is one of the best decisions you've made, and it was the story out because obviously everyone has a different story, but it's the stories that connect people and give them strength. So it's literally you giving strength to many more readers out there to deal with their lives. So I think this is one of
People, yeah. When I wrote this, I think my main, because I kept asking myself, why am I writing this book? And every time you ask yourself that, there's a different answer that comes. But the one that really stuck with me is I wanted to relate with people. I didn't want it to just be about me and the story and everything that's happened. Because it's something so much bigger than that. I want someone to read it and genuinely I want them to question themselves. I want them to question our conditioning, our society, the law, the media, everything.
being the papa's girl that you are. What was your papa's reaction when the book was read?
I mean, I think my aunt told me this, but I think he was really touched. I think I even heard that I think he cried in certain parts. But I think he was really happy and probably super proud of me.
I'm sure all the letters that you wrote to him finally cultivated into the writing into a book.
Yeah, I know. I think that I keep telling people this book is like just one massive letter to my parents.
So, Vidhi, we saw a post that you had put on Insta, your book, your papa's book on the shelf, and it was such a proud moment. I'm sure as a little girl, you must have felt being on the same shelf published. So, tell us the emotion you went through. We've read it, but we want to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, it was so special, I think because my dad's book came out in this year, Feb, and I had no idea. No, sorry, it came out this year, Feb, and I started writing mine last year. So I didn't know when it was gonna come out, but I knew my dad's was gonna come out first. And I think only after I saw the physical copy of my book did it kind of hit me, and I broke down, when I saw both of our books next to each other. It was a feeling that I can't even describe it because it was so emotional, so like overwhelming. There was so much relief, but also it was quite sad because I wasn't able to like share it with him physically at that moment. But it was amazing, and I'm so kind of grateful that both of us are published in the same year, and hopefully many more to come.
Fingers crossed for many more to come already. The Devil's Daughter. I know the title says it all, but what made you choose this title?
So this is a title. Obviously, it's really interesting, and recently I found out that it's quite a. Some people think it's quite unsettling, and I can see how they would assume that, right? But it was basically in conversation with my partner, and this title just came out of nowhere, and I fell in love with it because the first thought that I had did not go to one specific person or thing. It felt like a metaphor to me, essentially. Like I felt like that's how I was viewed through people's eyes. Basically, the society, like the devil is the society, the law, the media, and ultimately it was my own self. That's how I started viewing my own self. So it's so like deep and creative, and it's completely open to interpretation. Like every reader I feel will arrive at something similar but different. about what the title could mean.
Yeah, there are interpretations. Before you start reading the book, you read it and you're like, oh, okay, when you start
Yeah,
reading the book,
first
the
thought goes to someone, exactly.
interpretation. At the age of 18, usually everyone wants independence, everyone wants like no parents' interference. In your case, it was totally different. All of those
Yeah.
things happened, complete shocker, a shocker that you're still getting your closures on while you were rewriting the book. And so while rewriting the book, like you said, there were a lot of closures because you thought there were some parts that were healed, there were some parts that you felt were not touched and needed to be healed. So how much is the journey that you would say today you have come across after rewriting your story?
I mean, I think it's continuous. It from the day that all of this started till today. I think now obviously it's being sped up a little. I genuinely feel like I'm getting better every day, but I'm not even halfway there. There's so much that I haven't confronted. This book is only like a small milestone as to still what's to come. And I admit this to myself and I admit this to people. There's so much that I haven't confronted, and there's so much trauma that's probably still stuck within me that I don't even know. And it's just, I think I have to be kind of painfully aware of these certain things because it's still not easy. I mean, as good as life is right now, it's this whole thing behind me is still very prevalent. It's still like on top of me all the time, and it's I can't see my mom all the time. I can't see my dad. Things aren't relatively normal, but in situations like these, I guess the biggest thing I've learned is just to genuinely see the beauty in things, rather than constantly looking for flaws. It's helped a lot just being optimistic about things.
You have bloomed fantastically after the adversity that hit you. Like, I really have no words. Like, even the thought makes me speechless. Like, I mean, like, hats off to you. Kudos to you. I wish I could say all the dictionary words to you right now.
Thank you
You
so
really
much.
helped and you worked by yourself. There were a lot of people who supported you, but at the end of the day, it was you who picked up and started. How important is working on your mental self in today's time, according to you?
Oh my god, I think I tell everyone this. I think the biggest asset a human being can possess is to know themselves better every day. Like, we'll never know the extent of our potential until the day we die. We won't know ourselves, but it's something that we constantly need to work on because I truly believe, like, us as human beings, we're limitless. We have so much potential that we don't even know. And I think this is one of the biggest things that I found out the last 6 years, because I was so scared to constantly be by myself. I always was looking for like external distractions and relief in just other things, anything but myself. And it really took a lot of time and a lot of effort for me to realize like solitude is a luxury. I think for me at least, like, I love my alone time so much that it stresses me out when I'm with too many people. And it's because it gives me so much time to kind of converse with myself, understand my strengths and weaknesses. We have to learn the darker parts of ourselves. Like, that's what causes a lot of like uncomfort within us because we repress all these things. So I think, and it's really hard. I'm not saying it's easy at all. It's really, really hard to get to that point, but just you have to persevere. You have to kind of get through where you like spending time with yourself. And once you do, you're on cloud nine.
I know that feeling, how it feels. Suddenly, it's all like a privilege, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, it is. I genuinely think it's like a privilege to just be by yourself and actually enjoy it.
Yeah, there's nothing on this planet like enjoying your own company.
I mean, I read this really, really nice quote that if you can sit with yourself, you can sit with anyone in the world, and you can truly find like happiness within yourself.
You had a journey of 6 years where you seeked in and first you seeked out, you had excuses, you left things halfway, and then there was this one moment in life where you decided that there was a spiritual awakening and you decided that I need to have my closures, I need to work on myself, I need to gather all the pieces around. and your journey began. So tell us a little about that when this from that spiritual moment to this journey, if you had to tell us a little to our viewers out here who haven't read the book.
So yeah, of course. I mean, see, the word spiritual, I do resonate with it, of course, but it's one word that I haven't really been able to understand, because I've realized we label everything so quickly, and even I used to just label everything spiritual this, spiritual that, but it's actually something that I'm really trying to understand. But yeah, it started off where I was escaping completely. I wasn't I was actually just pretending none of this was happening to me. When I moved to London, I genuinely, like, I didn't tell any of my friends till months later. Like, I became close to one person, and even she who's my best friend today, who's like my sister, she only knew like 8-9 months later. So that's how kind of closed off I was, and that's how I was just in a different world. And I thought I was an anomaly. I thought that I was this random person who wouldn't have to feel these things. Like, I'm just going by life, I'm not having to feel anything, and I'm just going to progress on to the next step. But I mean, it's a bubble, right? And the bubble always bursts, and it burst like very badly. So this happened when I was kind of alone for Christmas, and I speak about this greatly in my book, and I think that was one of the toughest years for me, because I've never been used to like being alone for a holiday, especially because I've either always had friends or family or someone or the other. But this Christmas, kind of like everyone was not in London, and I couldn't come back to India at that point because things were even messier. So I decided to kind of work at a homeless shelter to make myself feel better about it. And I guess again it did, and I'm really glad I did it. But it was terrifying when I came back home that night. And from that moment, I just kept getting worse, because that's when the anxiety started to kind of actually cloud my mind. That's when I started to feel all these things, and everything that I'd been shutting off for 2 years suddenly came crashing down on me, until the day, like the worst day of my life, where I kind of woke up in hospital. And as cheesy as this sounds, I just waking up that day in hospital, like, it just made me feel like it was a sign for something. And previously I never really believed in all this stuff at all. But just, yeah, I mean, like, it did something to me, when I woke up and I knew that I was here. From that next day, I realized, like, I have to do something with my life. I have to do something better. I have to actually, like, understand who I am as a person, enough of these excuses, because that's what I used to just use it as an excuse, like, to people. I'd be like, oh no, I'm going through stuff, this is why I'm this place. But in my mind, I'm just giving excuses to people. I actually just want to essentially, like, not feel or think anything. And throughout that phase, I mean, I had a lot of people that helped me. Like, I had this one close friend who was really there for me, and he kind of helped me get back on my feet. And that's when I decided I want to go back to Barcelona and finish my education, because my semester was incomplete. And that's the first thing I know I had to do, was just finish something, A to B, whatever it is, even if I don't like it, just finish something. Then I went back, and that's when I alienated myself from everyone. And that's when I kind of started realizing the true potential of, like, who I am, and, like, me as just a human being, not me, but just what my kind of potentials are, what my limitations are, what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are. And it was tough. I mean, throughout, that's when I started getting panic attacks also, because I was thinking about all these things, and actually feeling things. But I knew I was doing something right if I'm getting panic attacks or if I'm having anxiety. And then, sorry, we're almost done. My last stage of healing was during the pandemic, just before I started writing this book. I came across this because I started getting really interested in just psychotherapies, and, like, different, like, meditation, and learning about different philosophies. And this was in 2020. This was last year. So I came across this concept called shadow work, which is a self psychotherapy. And it's essentially where you learn about the darkest part of yourself, the shadow self. So us as human beings, we have two parts. We have a light self and we have a dark self. And our light self is when we kind of, I'm talking to you right now. We're kind of being social. That's what most people see of us. Our darker self is the parts that we repress completely. Those are the parts we feel that are kind of socially unacceptable, regretted, basically, like when you're having an argument with someone, those are the glimpses you see of your shadow self. And what we do is we push it down to the point that we don't want to ever think about them. It's just constantly being pushed away, pushed away, pushed away. And shadow work is where you are questioning the hardest things, like you're facing topics like insecurities, family, sexuality, jealousy, anything, you name it. Like just and it's such an uncomfortable process. So I started doing this and it was like 3 months. I was in this whole kind of phase for 3 months. And oh my God, it was terrifying because you have to look at yourself in the mirror and realize like, I have so many flaws and I'm this person and I'm this person. And I just thought it was never ending because I hated myself for these 3 months. But once you understand your decisions and once you understand your answers and accept them to yourself, it changed my life. I mean, like it was literally a 1 day change. I was crying for like 4 days straight. And then I come out of it, I was like glowing. I literally felt like a butterfly, like a reborn butterfly. I know this sounds like crazy, but I felt reborn essentially. And I've never had a panic attack since then. I mean, even if I can feel one coming, I can feel one exactly. I can feel one coming. And I have so much control over it. And yeah, I mean, that's why I feel like now I'm just subconsciously doing shadow work all the time. Sorry, that was a really...
Like a butterfly. Exactly what I felt in your book, and I have mentioned in my review that you're like this caterpillar who turned into a butterfly. Your wings. And like how much ever we've spoken right now, acceptance is the key. Where
Yeah.
be it shadow work or be it, when you're dealing with your trauma, everything, acceptance is the key.
Definitely.
Right now, Mental Health Day coming. What do you want to tell viewers that how important is acceptance and how do you connect it with your mental health?
Acceptance, I mean, it's the first step to everything. Just accepting whatever it is. I mean, that's like I truly believe that's like 40% of the work done once you've kind of been aware of, whatever it is you need to be aware. And trust me, like we all know what's wrong with us. We all know what's going on inside our heads, but we're so scared of it that we kind of come out and say, no, we don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with me. But seriously, we all know. That's what I realized. Like, it's always been at the back of my head. I just didn't want to accept it at all because I was so scared of what happens next. It's like if someone's working at a firm for like 8 years and they want to quit, and they won't quit because they're scared of what happens next.
Right.
It's like our acceptance. We are scared of what happens next once we are painfully aware of these things. And we tend to be the harshest on ourselves, right? So we think, okay, once I'm aware of myself, I'm gonna be like the worst person ever. But once you get past that, it's like, I'm telling you, it's like 40% of the work done. So just like write it down, do something, but just understand yourself better and better and better. And yeah, just I think mental health is so important, like speak about it. Don't shy away from it. If you don't want to speak about it with people because it's so hard to speak with yourself, I mean, I do that. I write a whole section on my book of just conversing with myself.
Right.
Because you're like your own therapist, you're organizing your own thoughts.
So as I want to talk, and there's so much more to talk, but we'll have to in a bit end our book talk. So before we go on a rapid fire question round next,
Yeah.
what did you tell our viewers here? Why should they read The Devil's Daughter?
I've never got that question before. I mean, I guess you can read it because it'll help you kind of just understand a different perspective on what you might have heard in the media, and I'm really kind of hoping to be able to relate with the reader, and maybe you can pick up, I hope you can pick up one or two things if you read this book. It's quite it's a really dark book, but it ends on a very happy note, I'd like to think.
Trust me, I read my review. It does have dark pages in the book. It is a frank memoir where she's actually claimed it. So you are not in for something like new. But trust me, when you read it, you will see this happy girl and you will enjoy also reading the book. So do pick up a copy after our book talk. And now we're going to play a rapid fire round. So now we're going to have some like quick questions and quick answers. Are you ready?
Yeah.
What do you value most in life?
Oh my god. My happiness and the people I love.
What would you tell your past self?
You did it.
How do you protect your energy today?
Sorry?
How do you protect your energy today?
I am constantly aware and accepting everything step by step.
What does self-discovery mean to you?
Living on the edge and being uncomfortable.
What do you do to get out of your comfort zone?
Go backpacking for 4 months to the other side of the world.
What challenge is left to embrace?
To discover and unlock all the hidden trauma that I still have and confront a lot of hard things about myself.
What can you add more to your life?
Meditation.
What whole and peaceful?
Sorry?
What makes you whole and peaceful?
What makes me whole and peaceful? Knowing that my father is out and he's hopefully living his best life currently.
3 things that make you happy about your book.
Do I think if I'm happy about my book?
That made you happy about your book.
Okay, 3 things that made me happy about my book. One, the fact that I was actually able to write it and get it out. 2, it embraced my story and it allowed me to actually feel stronger through my story. And 3rd is the reactions that I've gotten from, people of, it's just so, it's so touching. It's brought tears to my eyes reading some people's reviews.
Some of the compliments that made you really smile and cry.
Just a lot of people had no idea. Like a lot of my close friends who were like literally almost there day by day, they had no idea what I was going through. So a lot of them told me, like even though I was there for you, I had no idea. So that just, I don't know why, that just made me weep so much. Second is a lot of people kind of really poured their hearts out, and I felt so touched and like honored that people were telling me about their issues and asking for my help, because I really didn't feel like I had it back then, and 3rd is just the fact that I was able to write this book.
Part of it that you really love.
Okay, this is kind of controversial, but the section about the media.
The brilliant.
I feel like I went way too hard on it, but I'm so happy with it.
Nice, in spite of how hard it was on you. So get that feeling out. Work on that feeling.
I heard this. My dad used to always tell me it's not about getting revenge. It's about getting even. So that's my whole mindset when I was writing that chapter.
What did you learn while you were rewriting your journey?
That I must embrace my weird and quirky self.
Favorite quote and why?
Favorite quote and why? Never let a crisis pass you by. That my dad always said to me as a kid, and it's so apt for the situation. He's literally said that to me since I was 4 years old. So I think that's how I started my book, because that's the first thing I remembered is never let a crisis pass you by. Always, whatever situation is coming your way, whether it's traumatic, whether it's sad, just look with a perspective that you're going to learn from it, and you are going to come out of it. It's not like you're not going to come out of it. Just have confidence in yourself.
First word that comes to your mind the moment you say dad.
Love.
First goal.
Yeah, Papa's. I have to say a word that comes to my mind when I say Papa. For life.
Mom.
Complicated, but love her.
Shangri-La.
Tigress.
Rabin.
Genius.
Charm.
My sister, amazing.
Pratik.
Uh, um, one of my best friends, amazing.
Arnav.
Goswami, snake.
Malvika.
Oh god. Oh god. Forgiven.
Oh, okay. Daughter.
Who?
Devil's daughter.
Uh, dark and light. Guys, does that make sense?
Shweta Roira.
The most fun talk I've had yet.
A luxury that you're thankful for.
A roof over my head and the ability to kind of not think about what my next meal is going to be. I always we need to be grateful for that. I truly think that that kind of a privilege, having a meal and having a roof over your head, is privilege all around the world.
You believe in gratitude and your attitude of gratitude. So, what is the last thing you would like to tell your viewers here?
I would like to tell my viewers that, just live unapologetically and go, like, trust your intuition, because trust me, you know what you're doing for yourself. Just have confidence in yourself, because essentially you got you. That's it.
Thank you Vidhie, for your time, for being a part of our book talk on My Secret Bookshelf. The entire team of My Secret Bookshelf thanks you, and everyone who's read your book here has loved it. A lot of hearts have flowed your way. So you please keep going, because we are looking out for many more books from you, and we enjoy written, and we're looking forward for many more talks with you. Thank you for your time.
Shweta, it was really fun. Thank you.